share my screen. All right, so talking about the new farm stand today, a couple of things to start. I wanted to just share some quick data at the beginning. We ran some numbers for a few of our farms who just switched to the new farm stand and compared the first 3 weeks with the new farm stand versus the previous 3 weeks with the old farm stand model. What we found across the board was that the average number of orders actually went down just a little bit, nothing too crazy, but the average order total increased. So when we added these numbers up, we actually saw a 5% total increase in sales, which is pretty significant. So some of the great things about this new model, like I just said, it increases your ADV. The new setup, which Emily will talk a lot more about this, but the new setup kind of matches some of the more modern e-commerce sites that I know some of you are already using, like Local Food Marketplace and Barn to Door. If you want to utilize this in a marketplace model, you can, since everything is a la carte. So you have that capability directly through Harvey now, which is great. This also gives your members the ability to see your product list up front, which is something we get asked about a ton in member support. Members really want to see this, and it really helps people kind of bridge that barrier from just kind of browsing incomplete order status to complete. The new model matches the new customization page, which is really just going to give your members a more seamless, more cohesive, less confusing process across the board. And this really features greater flexibility for your members, which we also know that they love. So what's coming up? This will be turned on as an option for everyone by August 25th. We did send a few help docs, or 2 help docs, one member facing and one farmer facing. Would be great to review those as well as, participating in this call before you start using it. And, the bulk of this call is going to be Emily Yanchuk giving us a really awesome demo. So I'm going to hand it over to Emily now.
All right, thanks, Kelly. Hi, everybody. Let me just share my screen real quick and get some of these out of the way.
So anyway,
okay. So when you go to build a new farm stand delivery, you will start off exactly the same as you have been. So I'm going to go through this process both without the new delivery builder, so in the model that most of you are using, and then I'll also show it with the centralized inventory delivery builder and some of the cool features that come along with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a new delivery. Browser might be frozen. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Let me... Apologies, I seem to be having some technical difficulties. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. So you'll start off under actions. If you're going to create one from scratch, you'll do create a pop-up farm stand. And this page is a little bit different. So you'll set a label for your delivery. So I'm going to call this farm stand for August. And you can set a minimum value here. So because you're not using shares, with this model like you did previously, and it's completely a la carte, as Kelly mentioned. If you still want to make sure that members are ordering a certain amount of product so that it's worth your time to pack and deliver, you can control that here. So I'm going to leave this. It will default to $35, but you can set it to anything you want. I'm going to leave this here. And then you'll set your close time. This is the equivalent of when the customization cutoff time would be for a regular delivery. I do want to point out that this close time, within this window, members can place orders. There is not customization available once they have completed their orders in this case, because it's completely custom to begin with. They've picked everything out on their way in. So I'm just going to set this close time for tomorrow night. And then you can pick your delivery options. In the old farm stand, you may recall that you had to have separate delivery locations set up. They had to be in a certain status, not have location days, that sort of thing. This is much more freeform. So all of your delivery locations are shown here, regardless of their status, and this will create a location day on the fly when you select them. So I'm going to say we're going to deliver this downtown, and we're also going to offer home delivery in the south and the north. Another thing that you'll see when we get to the member ordering process is that this page, like the new sign up page, is using zip code verification to determine what locations a user is eligible for. So if you're not using the valid postal codes field on your home delivery locations yet, talk to your account manager about getting that set up, and you can use that to help control what areas of town you're delivering to on a given day. So you pick your locations and pick some dates. I'm going to say these are for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And once you've done that, you'll also notice there is no prompt here for sending the customization reminder email. And that, again, is because once they've placed their order, that order is considered final. There's not customization for them to go back in and make changes. So we've made our selections. I'm going to click proceed. And this will look exactly the same as it did before. This is your farm happening. So I'm going to call this the farm stand happening. And this is a demo. And we'll save that and move on. And from here, you have your normal delivery builder page first. So you can select your products. You can still use the featured and the unlinked flag here, although because this doesn't build boxes for your members, the unlink won't do anything, but the featured flag will still show those products at the top of the page. So if there's something that you want members to see first that you really want to encourage them to buy, the feature flag still works for that. So I'm going to say we have some apples and some apricots and arugula. Put some quantities in for these. So nothing new here. If anyone has questions, please do feel free to ask as I'm moving through. You don't have to wait until the end. Okay. So we have a pretty eclectic product mix here, which is totally fine for your farm stand. Again, this is not really meant to follow the normal parameters of a share. This is meant for members to be able to shop as if they were at, an online farmer's market, essentially. Let's get some bell peppers and some blueberries. Okay. And let's say we want to feature our bacon and our blueberries. Okay. And once you're happy with your settings here, you can move to the next step. You're going to see that it will skip over extras, and that's because with the completely a la carte ordering, where no boxes are built for the members, extras becomes sort of irrelevant. So everything is just sold the same way. And of course, there are no boxes to show yet because you haven't launched. You can cancel and edit if you want to, just like you can in a regular delivery. And you can adjust your cutoff time or your happening as needed. I'm going to go ahead and launch. And it tells us our farm stand is open. Now, so that you can see how this is going to look to a member, and this is noted in the farm-facing setup doc for this, but you'll have a new link on your farm profile, and that's the shop link. And we'll pop this open in incognito so that we can pretend to be a member. And this is what the new page will look like. So you see when they first land here, the cart's right at the top. This matches the new customization page that we recently migrated everyone to. And then you'll see featured products first, and then everything else by department, just like it is on the customization page. They also have the ability to use this dropdown to jump directly to a specific category if that's what they want. As they add items to their cart, let's say I want some bacon and some blueberries and apricots. You can see that we haven't updated our pictures in our test environment, but that's okay. When they go to complete their purchase, they can see in their cart what they have. Also, similar to the customization page, there's a cart icon up top that they can click on and see what their total is. I'm going to increase this so that I can show you how something else works as well. Okay, and if they're below the total that you've set, remember that minimum purchase amount from the first screen, it will not let them go to checkout. This button is disabled and it says you have to spend $35. So let me put my bacon back in here. And now you see it re-enables and I can continue. And now I see, because I'm a new member, I haven't registered before, it's going to prompt me for my contact information. If I had an existing account, I could use this link to log in. Just create some quick demo information. Now, before I put my address in, I want to draw your attention to the delivery options. Right now, you're only seeing one because this is a pickup location and not home delivery, but you do see this prompt to update my address to see home delivery options. So when I put my address in here, and I save my information, you're going to see this update. Now, remember, I selected 3 locations when I was setting up my delivery, and I only see 2 here, and that's because my postal code is only in the field for this location and not the other one. So I'm going to pick this one, and they have a chance now to review their options. They can remove things or change quantities here if they want to. They can also go back to the catalog if they want to add more items. And down here we have our total and our delivery information. If you have coupons active, this is where they can enter that. So I did create one. And I will apply that. And you can see that it shows up right here and is deducted from their total. and then they enter their payment data. And again, if they already have an account, this will be saved and they can just click to use their existing information. Save that. And now it asks me to complete my order. And then I get a success page similar to the one that you would see at sign up. And if I go back and look at my delivery now, I can see this member's information and all of their products. Now, finalizing this order is the same as finalizing any other delivery as well. So because we are before the cutoff time, this button hasn't changed yet. But when this is passed, it'll say review and finalize. But just like before, you can go in and finalize at any time. So I'll scroll down here and hit finalize. And it'll queue everything up and run the payments, and you're ready to print your labels and pack your shares. Does anyone have questions about that before I move on to doing this in centralized inventory? Nope, all good. Okay. So let's say, because I know a few of you have expressed concern with centralized inventory, with the fact that you can no longer launch FarmStand as part of your regular delivery. I have a regular delivery set up so that I can show you how you can easily reuse that for your FarmStand. So let's just take a look at this delivery, which I have already launched. So this is in customization. But just so you can see what products we have here, and I've set some up with the different allocation schemes. For anyone that's not familiar with this page, just a quick run through. Most of these fields should look similar from the old delivery builder. They just have a slightly different label. So your product name, you can see the image right here. You can also click on it to edit. You can see what department that product is in, your pack order if you've set something other than the default. You can edit your tags and your producers right in this page. You can see your prices, your inventory quantity, which is how many you have available to sell, your held quantity, which is how many are already in members' boxes, and that's for any delivery that you have active right now, and how many you have allocated to sell in this delivery. Now, this field you're going to notice when we are editing the FarmStand delivery is not editable, and I'll explain more about that when we get there. So I'm going to go back out and copy this delivery as FarmStand. And here you'll want to check the box for centralized inventory to make sure that it is set up the same way as the delivery that you're copying. And I'm going to call this centralized inventory FarmStand. And I'm going to set a slightly lower entry value here. And let's make this one finalize next week. You can only have one of these deliveries active at a time, just to avoid confusion, because you have the freeform locations and products and all of that. So if you have, if you go to launch one of these and you get an error, make sure that you've finalized whichever one you had before. That does mean, though, that if you launch one and finalize and you want to launch another with overlapping dates, you can. There's no problem there. I'm going to pick my same locations. And let's see, I need to make sure these are after my close time. So let's make this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, so nothing different here except checking this box to use centralized inventory. And I'm going to reuse my same happening. Okay. And now we get to our delivery builder. One thing I want to point out is all the allocations stayed the same, except for some products down here that I had set as extras in the old delivery. Those are automatically converted when you copy as farm stand to be default because extras are not used here. And you can also see, for those of you who are familiar with centralized inventory already, you can see that only the default and featured options are given here because extras is not a valid selection. You'll also see that the delivery quantity for the items that were previously extras is already set to 0 because it wouldn't have built those into boxes. And when we add a product here, let's say we want some eggplant. Your allocation schemes here, you can select default or featured, and your delivery quantity is set to 0. And the reason for that is that delivery quantity is only used by the automated box building algorithm when you first move your delivery to review before you launch it. It is not used at all during the customization or the farm stand ordering process. So it's going to default to 0 here and be one less thing for you to worry about. I'm going to add that to my delivery, and I am going to make sure that it has inventory available because otherwise I can't sell any. So let's say I have 40 of these. And now I'm happy with my delivery and I'm ready to move it to review. Does anyone have questions about this page before I do that? Okay. So we'll move to review. It's going to alert us to a couple of things. It'll say if you have a delivery quantity set greater than your inventory quantity. This will only happen if you have copied a regular delivery because, like you just saw, you don't set delivery quantity here. It's going to treat them all as 0 anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and ignore that. But I am going to go fix my prices because I don't want to give away shallots and eggplants for free. So I'm going to go ahead and click no go back and find my shallots. And set that. And find my eggplant. This is typical of products that you haven't used before or haven't used in a while. You may not have set certain fields on, and so we try to prevent you from launching deliveries with things that are not as you would expect. So now we should be good to go. I'm going to move this to review. This is just the delivery quantity warnings now, so I'm going to continue past that. And once again, there are no boxes built. We're ready for launch. Okay, and now our farm stand is open. And if I go in here as this member, let me go back to my dashboard here. And I go to the shop page. So your members can access this if they are looking for it directly from their profile and they haven't received the email or they're new, they can get to it from the shop button on their profile. And you can see that everything is displayed just like it was in the old one, your featured items up top. And then the items, the other items in your delivery below. So that's basic farm stand setup and ordering. Does anyone have questions, comments, concerns? Feel good about using this in a couple weeks?
We just got a question in chat. Are the quantities in farm stand set as excess from the CSA? If so, how does this affect CSA members and their ability to customize?
Okay, so I think that what you're asking, if you are not using centralized inventory, then you are still setting your delivery quantities manually like you always have. So you would be making the decision about, how many do you want to make available to your regular CSA customers and how many do you want to make available to FarmStand. If you're using centralized inventory, then when you set the inventory quantity on a product, that is universal. So that's the amount of inventory that's available to sell via any open delivery. If you want to make sure that all of it gets in, that as much of it as possible gets into your CSA members' baskets, you can set your delivery quantity to use that many when it builds boxes. You can also set it to featured, which of course will push it into the CSA members' boxes first, and just make sure that you launch the regular delivery before you launch FarmStand. But this will offer any inventory that isn't already taken up in boxes as available to your FarmStand members.
Can I share how I'm doing that?
Absolutely.
I have a delivery on Wednesday and deliveries on Thursday, and then the farm stand is a separate delivery for that I do for both days because I can't do separate for each day in this. But I launch my regular CSA deliveries in the morning, and then I wait a few hours to launch the farm stand part. So that my CSA members have some time to snatch up things before they sell.
Yeah. You can also, if there's something that you really want only to be available to your CSA members, because we've already launched this, the button is gone now, but you can also remove anything from your farm stand, from your copied delivery before you launch it.
And Emily, you mentioned this briefly, but I just wanted to reiterate because this has come up a couple of times. You can't set a delivery quantity for a farm stand with centralized inventory. So if you wanted to limit the number of eggplants that could be sold in your farm stand, you can't use the delivery quantity to do that. You can only use that, like Emily was saying, to allocate to boxes.
Correct. Yeah. The other thing about inventory quantity is you may have product come in, in between deliveries or something like that. Or you may choose to sort of do a phased release of your inventory. So you can always increase it when you're launching a new delivery, and anything that you add here will be available again for any deliveries that are open at that time. So say you had launched your regular delivery with 50 stir fry mix available, and then you add 50 more when you launch your farm stand. There are now 100 out there in the wild, but the first 50 were only available to the CSA members before you launched your farm stand. Any other questions?
I'll just mention real quick that centralized inventory is the topic for our next farm stand call. So if anyone is staring at this totally confused, we will do a really, really deep dive on centralized inventory in a month.
Yes, good point. Okay. If anyone thinks of other questions later, like Kelly said, we're going to switch this on for everyone on August 25th. So feel free to reach out to any of us to answer questions about this ahead of time. I'm going to hand this back to Kelly.
Okay. Well, I think that about covers it for today. I will be sending the video out shortly, And I'm also having a discussion with our marketing director about some tips for pushing farm stand. So I will go ahead and share some of those tips as well, and would love to keep that thread going if anyone wants to share anything that they've been doing to push farm stand sales. We got one more question here. Can we get the pack line weight added to the pick list export?
I believe that we have a ticket for that already, but I will double check.
Cool. I can make a note to follow up on that. Okay, so I will stop recording, and yeah, you guys will be hearing from me shortly via email.